The situation was a severe lack of storage in my garage shop. I already knew that I wanted to convert a single wall into pegboard storage, so I measured the wall and laid out the elevations with some rough idea of what I wanted to happen. With my storage design ready to go, I started by clearing everything off of that wall. Most of the stuff along that side of the garage really didn't have a place, so it kind of just got pushed that way. The miter saw was on an old table with casters, so it was pretty easy to move around. The ladder would need a new hanging spot, but for the time being, it just really needed to move. My hitch receiver rack was headed for the attic. It doesn't see as much use since I replaced the SUV with a truck. Just a quick cleanup of the work area. And I almost forgot those bar racks on the wall. My next move was to cut all of the boards to length. This process is not the normal way I build things, but the precision required is quite low. Taking a step back, I wanted to frame out the electrical receptacle so the pegboard wouldn't interfere with it. I tacked the joints up with a brad nailer so the glue could dry. When I started to assemble the structural parts of the wall, I made several pencil marks in advance so it would make my work easier. The first boards I put up were the back plates for the pegboard. Basically, they just hold the pegboard off of the wall, but they would also become the ledge on which the shelves would sit. Once the left section of the back plates was completed, I put up the far left column. When I started to add the shelves, I tacked them on with a brad nailer first. I went back afterwards to screw down the shelves to the back plates and the columns. Then I basically just repeated the same process all the way up. After adding the center left column, I secured the left shelves with some additional screws. From there, the process for the center section was the same as the left section. I started from the bottom and worked my way up, putting the back plates on lined up with their left side counterparts. Using a stud finder, I made sure to secure those back plates to the structure of the wall. Once the back plates were installed, I added the shelves. I left the center columns long so that they could be fit during installation. The right side of the storage assembly was put together in the same fashion as the other two parts. This section was easier to build though, since there were no shelves to line up. I did add an additional back plate so the pegboard would be stiffer near the bottom. To finish it off, I dropped on the top shelf and secured it in place. I added some caulk to the joints that were below the pegboard just to break up that shadow line. Before painting the wood, I added a coat of primer. I like to use Kills for this type of work. The paint will match the wall, so I was able to be sloppy with applying the primer. Really, I'm just looking for good coverage on the wood for a good bond with the paint. Taking another step backwards, I cut the miter joints for the electric receptacle frame. Once they were all cut, I glued the joints. After spreading the glue out evenly, I situated the frame down flat on my bench. I added some brads to hold everything together while the glue dried. I pre-finished the frame with primer and paint before putting it on the wall. The frame was secured to the wall with screws directly into the studs. You can see the screws only hit one stud, but the frame is more for aesthetics than structure. I don't have a great way to break down full sheets, but the circular saw gets it done. That pre-finished melamine 1x12 makes a great fence. So to put up the pegboard, I just set the parts in place and tacked them in with a brad nailer. Now I did go back and add screws, but much of the weight was pushed down vertically into the shelves. The first three sections went on pretty easily, but the third part didn't have a shelf to rest on. As I raised up the pegboard into position, I was able to prop it up with my foot. And then it was time for more Kills primer. For anyone who has ever brush painted pegboard, you know what a pain it is. The trick is to get it on thick enough to cover the entire surface while not clogging up the holes with paint. When I was done, I got out the matching wall color paint. I didn't bother to record the painting, but you get the idea. Once the wall was all loaded up, this project was done. This pegboard wall addition held all of the items far more efficiently than the steel shelving that I used to have. So that's it for this video. I do hope you enjoyed it.